Hi everybody, welcome to Dandelion Cottage and Watercolor Wednesday. I'm Leslie Watkins. It's been a very exciting couple of weeks with spring coming into season. The birds this year are just out of this world. We have so many interesting birds that we don't usually have here. There have been sightings of the indigo buntings, scarlet tanagers. I mean, they may come through here, but I sure don't often see them, not on my property. But the bird song has also been out of this world. So as a gardener, I've been a little distracted. I've been outside. I've been doing a lot of gardening and pruning and cleanup and weeding and all that sort of thing. But I'm thinking about a nature journal, and I know I mentioned this to you a few weeks ago, and I pulled out some of the things that I have ready to go, and this is the Pebble Path color, which I love, and I want to do a little tone-on-tone stamping with you today and painting. So to do that, I have some samples here. There's one missing. All right, here's an example of a tone-on-tone stamp where I used the Pebble Path ink with a little bit of a highlight using the white re-inker. And here's another one. This is the Star Magnolia that I did just a few weeks ago. The flowers are just about gone on the Star Magnolia now, and but this was such a pretty flower. And here's another example. This one just has a little bit of white. I could add a little bit more to that. But I think you get the idea. And then I've got a number of bits and pieces here that that have a little bit of gold and more of the Pebble Path. And then I went back into some of my files and I pulled out some tonal paintings that I've done in the past. So here's a simple little watercolor. You can see that beautiful deckled edge using the deckled rectangle dies. Here's a simple stamp that was just painted with, I don't remember what color I used for that. You'll have to let me know in the comments. I've forgotten the color I used for that one. Now here is some sort of tone-on-tone using die cuts and some stamping in the background to create my own DSP. Here is that, remember that wonderful cork specialty paper, and using the die cuts to cut out the imagery with the DSP. That's always a lot of fun to do, and a nice little label with that decorative stitching. So you can see where those die cuts really add so much to your greeting cards. Here's an example of a sort of a tonal stamping and then die cut out, but it's popped up on dimensionals, so you can see there's a little shadow area underneath there. So that's really sweet, and a little bee embellishment, and again the sentiment cut out using a die with a beautiful stitched detail on it. So lots of really easy ways to make beautiful cards and images using just one or two colors. So that's what we're going to do today, and I'm going to give you a little sneak preview of the actual journal. So I'm not going to finish it today because I've got a lot more painting and stamping to do, but this is what it's going to look like. Okay, so it has a little spine that measures about 3/4 of an inch, so it's not very thick. And then I rounded the corners. All right, and then on the inside, let me get all these pieces out. On the inside, it's going to have 3 signatures. Okay, so they'll look something like that. And each one of the signatures is going to have a cardstock cover. And on these pieces, I'm going to add some stamping, and then the pages I'm going to keep blank for writing or extra stamping or adding things to, whatever the case may be. I'm not going to worry about those right now. I'm just going to begin with one of these signature covers, I guess you would call it. These are the signatures. And I'm also going to show you how I'm going to begin to decorate the cover, but I'm not going to finish it because there's a lot of different steps involved. For the cover, I've selected this beautiful specialty DSP that has some gold lettering on it, some script. The inside cover will use this DSP, and then of course this image will be here, and then the same thing in the back, so more of that in the back, and then this on the back cover. All right, so that's a little preview of the way the journal itself will come together. The stamp set I'm using today is going to be inspirational sketches, and I thought we'd start with the mushrooms because they're so cute and because we've been seeing some mushrooms popping up, and they're always like a little surprise. They seem to come out of nowhere. And I'm going to begin with the Pebbled Path ink. And I think because this is going to be sort of the title page, I think what I'll do is add a little sentiment. So I love this, enjoy the journey. So I'm going to go ahead and get a block out for that. And see if I can read backwards. All right, that looks right. And before we go any further, I'm going to check my settings, make sure you're actually hearing me and I'm not just talking to myself. And that's working, and I see Kelly, Teresa, and Cheryl. And let's see, Cheryl says she's in the beautiful Bitterroot Valley in Montana. That sounds absolutely divine. So I'm glad you could all join me today. I'm gonna get my sentiment on there first, and actually, because I haven't used these stamps before, I'm gonna do a little test to make sure that they're stamping well. Okay, that looks pretty good. Just going to put this down in the lower right corner. And my mushrooms. I think I'm going to stamp off for the mushrooms. So I'm just going to stamp off on my scrap paper, and then I'm going to center those just like so. So that's what I have so far, and I love that. You can close this up now. have my little palette here. I'm going to zoom you in a little bit. And I just have some white here and some pebbled path. That's all I've got. And I'm using my water painter, and I'm going to begin just by moistening the ink. Actually, I think I'll use the smaller one for this. I'm just going to moisten the ink that's kind of on there already from the stamp, because when you make your stamped image, of course, you get a lot of ink on there, and because the ink is water soluble, it will activate when you touch it with the plain water. Now, if you're in the Watercolor Card Club, you'll know that I'm paying attention to my form, and I'm applying all those universal concepts to make sure that I'm modeling this correctly. And we have a brand new Watercolor Card Club session about to begin. So for those of you who are interested, the new session starts on the 16th of each month. And it goes from the 16th to the 15th of the following month. And so the next session is just about to open up. We're going to have a Zoom session where I will show you the instructional video and you can ask any questions. And there's something very special going on just this month till the end of May, which is, if you subscribe to the Watercolor Card Club, in addition to your card kit with all the materials that you need for the class, you're also going to get the instruction to make that note card box that I showed you a week or so ago. So if you're not sure about what I'm talking about, just go back and you'll find that nice note card box, and you can learn more about that and all about Dandelion Cottage and the other classes and workshops that are coming right up by subscribing to Notes from Dandelion Cottage. And you just go to my website at dandelioncottagedesign.com and click on Notes. Or if you're watching on Facebook, there is a button up above in the banner that says subscribe, and that will take you to the page where you can subscribe to Notes, and then you will be updated as to all the specials coming up. I have some live classes if you're in the area, which I'm very excited about, and just a whole lot going on here right now. I'm also going to show you some of the pictures from the gardens because they are looking spectacular. We've had a lot of rain this spring, and actually today is kind of a cloudy, rainy day, which is great because I did a lot of cuttings from some of the vines that were growing out on the fences to propagate my grapes. So this rain, I think, is going to help them get off to a really good start. All right, so I've got a little bit of tone on there now. I will go back into these shapes again before I'm done. But now what I want to do is I just want to switch to my white. Let me just get this one established. There we go. All right. Now I'm grabbing some of my white ink. And I've added a little bit of water. Okay, so I'm diluting it so I can just get a light wash. And just want to check my image here. All right. Using the toned paper to do your tone-on-tone sketches is such a quick and effective way of capturing your subject. If you're somebody who likes to go out and do nature studies out in the field, this is such a great way to work, particularly if you have a water painter like the brush that I'm using now that has the water in the handle. You don't need a lot. You just need your sketchbook, a little bit of your white paint or ink, depending on what you're using. It could be a white watercolor pencil, work really well for quick studies. And I'm just picking out the light areas. Now I just got a drip on there, so I'm going to grab a paper towel, blot that up. And the white craft ink that that we use for the re-inker, it's just called white pigment ink. So it acts like a white gouache, and gouache refers to watercolor that is opaque. So this acts like an opaque watercolor, and it allows you to get a nice diluted wash of color, and then you can go back and you can continue to build it up and until you get something that's nice and opaque. So it'll easily go through transparency and opacity, so you can do a lot of different stages. I know this sounds a little complicated if you're not familiar with some of this terminology, but that's exactly what I talk about in the Watercolor Card Club, and it's a lot easier than you think, and you will definitely come away more knowledgeable with a better sense of how to begin how to get set up, how to approach your subject, and you'll have a wonderful community of people that you can share with and ask questions and be inspired by what they're doing. So check it out. This is the perfect time of year to begin a nature journal, if that's something that you'd like to do. And this particular journal that I am working on is sized to be able to accommodate 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch cards. So you can make your studies one card at a time and then bind them into the journal and have a really nice collection of all the things that you've enjoyed painting. So I would recommend you give it a try. You can stay for as long or as short as you like. If you sign up this month, you're going to get that added bonus of the note card box instructions, which is a beautiful, sturdy little box that can be decorated however you like. And you can use that to store your nature studies done on the note cards, and then when you have enough, you may want to bind them into a little booklet. Lots of fun. Okay, so this is coming along. So I'm about halfway there. I've got most of my middle tones established now. I'm just going to go ahead and add some additional lights and darks, and then I'm going to call this done, and I'm going to show you how I begin the sketchbook. Let's see. Teresa says it's hard to see it today. It's a little too far away. Okay, well, let me get you closer. I know a lot of people like to see the palette as well, but we can switch to the image here. All right, that should help. There we go. All right. So just if you work slowly and you're not in a rush, you can build up these forms and get all of the gradations that you need. When I say gradations, I'm talking about value, so lights and darks. That's what I'm doing now, is I'm just making some adjustments. Get the stems. All right, and I'm gonna go back to my darker ink and add some accents. So this is just about full strength. There's a little bit of just a little bit of water in there to help make it a little more fluid. Okay, so I think I'm done here. It's looking pretty good. Touch more white. Okay. It looks like there may be a little bit of technical issues going on here. So I'm just gonna pause and see if I can figure out what's happening. All right, so I'm gonna make this a two-part. So I'm just gonna keep that as is. And then in the second part, I will come back and I'll show you how I begin the cover of the little nature journal. So stay tuned for part 2.